Hi Angels, this will be the chapters 33 of You Are My Heroes by Lavender Thoughts 21 on AO3. Enemy number 1, a piece of foil. Good morning, I see you peeking around the corner, Bakugu, Aizawa called out as he spotted spiky blonde hair and curious crimson eyes. Bakugu came out into the open and huffed annoyed at being caught. Midoriya followed behind him, eyes distant and half closed in a still drowsy state. The blonde walked toward the man and sniffed the air, the smell of bacon making him drool. Almost ready, just a minute. Midoriya, darling, your show should be on by now if you want to watch it, Aizawa said, and the sleepy green-haired boy quickly sprouted back to life. Izuku's eyes widened at the mention of his show, and he quickly turned around to make his way to the living room. Not a minute later, the television was turned on, and the familiar tune of Leo's Number World's theme song was playing. Bakugu, however, stayed behind, looking at the man cooking breakfast from a safe distance, as the bacon popped grease into the man's apron. Breakfast took a little more than a minute to cook, but it would be worth the wait. Freshly pressed waffles with blueberry in them, bacon and sausages, scrambled eggs, and a side of banana yogurt. Shh! Aizawa raised a finger to his lips and sneaked a blueberry to the patiently waiting Bakugu. The blonde's eyes shone at the kind act, and he quickly accepted the gift, nibbling the berry with 2 hands like a rabbit. Aizawa fixed up their plates, being extra cautious with Izuku's plate by making sure nothing was touching. Then he placed the plates on the table, adding extra blueberries on top of the waffles, and setting 2 sippy cups filled with milk on the side. "Breakfast is ready!" Aizawa called for Midoriya, who was standing way too close to the television. Bakugu hopped onto his chair, grabbing his plastic kid fork in his fist and drooling at the breakfast in front of him. Izuku, however, was walking backwards and at a slow pace in order to watch the television for a little more time. Katsuki, seeing this, gave the boy an annoyed huff and an ah to catch the boy's attention. "Sorry," Izuku mumbled and turned away from the television, walking to the table to eat his breakfast alongside Bakugu. The blonde chewed his plastic fork as Izuku slowly made his way up his chair, agonizing slow for Bakugu. With the green-haired boy next to him, Bakugu waited impatiently for the boy to take his first bite. However, Izuku decided to count the blueberries on top of his waffles first, counting up to 7 before the blonde lost his patience. "Just eat!" Bakugu snapped, slamming his fork on the table. At this, Midoriya flinched, and a look of distraught fell upon his face. But Izuku whined, "Bakugu, how about you just eat? Izuku will eat when he is ready. Don't rush him." Aizawa scolded, and the blonde laid back in his chair with his arms crossed, clicking his tongue annoyed. Izuku hummed and anxiously played with his fingers. "It's okay, darling, you can count if you want." Aizawa urged the boy on, and Izuku glanced at Bakugu, who huffed at him. Midoriya counted again, counting 7 blueberries before turning to Bakugu's plate, and counting his blueberries too. "Kacchan only has 5 berries to eat." Izuku pointed out meekly and grabbed a blueberry from his plate and put it on Katsuki's. Bakugu's furrowed eyebrows smoothed back into his face as his eyes widened at Izuku's kind gesture. "I see you were making sure Katsuki got the same amount. That is such a noble action." "Good job, Izuku," Aizawa praised. "Sorry," Bakugu apologized for his behavior, leaning on Izuku's shoulder without looking at him, embarrassed. "It's okay," Izuku replied with a smile as he saw his normally reserved friend seek some physical reassurance. There, Izuku reassured. To reciprocate Bakugu's feelings, he leaned back on his friend and rubbed his face in Bakugu's soft hair. "You know, Midoriya, Bakugu doesn't eat until you take a bite first. That's why he got a little impatient right now. Let's try to keep this in mind next time, okay?" Aizawa told Izuku, and his eyes opened wide in realization. Bakugu straightened back up away from Izuku's side and sneered at the man, uncomfortable that Aizawa had become familiar with his pattern. "Oh, I did not know," Izuku said, and quickly grabbed a blueberry from his waffles and ate it quickly. "There you go, now you can eat." Midoriya smiled at the blonde, his teeth having a tinge of purple from the blueberry. Bakugu's face got red from embarrassment as he was found out, but he just huffed as he grabbed his fork to eat. Bakugu started to eat as soon as he saw Midoriya take his first bite. However, instead of starting with the waffles, the blonde ate the bacon first, the smell that lured him out of bed earlier. "Can I have syrup?" Midoriya asked as he pointed at the syrup bottle next to his plate. "Yes, you may," Aizawa told him, and the boy waited patiently, playing with a fork in his hand. "You can do it yourself, right?" Aizawa questioned as he saw the boy humming along to the show in the background, counting along by tapping the tips of his fingers. "Oh," Izuku mumbled and grabbed the syrup bottle, but whined as he saw the top glistening with leftover syrup residue. Bakugu heard the green one's distress and quickly looked over from his plate, wiping his face with his sleeve before grabbing the bottle of syrup and opening it for Izuku. The blonde stood up on his chair to pour some syrup on Izuku's waffle, but Izuku shook his head no. Grabbing the now open bottle from Bakugu's hand, Midoriya began to pour syrup on his waffles. Not too much, okay? Aizawa warned, and Izuku nodded as the syrup slowly poured. It was clear that Izuku was locked onto the task of pouring the syrup, his tongue sticking out as he focused on getting the same amount of syrup in each square. By the time he finished, Bakugu was already halfway through his plate, finishing his bacon, sausage, and eggs. Bakugu was less precise with his syrup, and messily poured the syrup on his waffles in circles. That's enough syrup, Katsuki, you are drowning your waffles, Aizawa scolded as the boy poured more than necessary. Katsuki huffed annoyed, but stopped when said so. After that, breakfast was going as normal. Bakugu finished before Izuku, like always, while the green-haired one was barely finishing his eggs. Still, even though Katsuki finished his banana yogurt, he was chewing on the plastic and trying to lick the last drops on the bottom. You can have another yogurt later, Bakugu, Aizawa reassured, and the boy pouted at the word later. Later? The blonde asked, his eyes showing a form of longing. I'll make extra sure to pack it right now so you can have it as a snack at Taishiru's house later, Aizawa told them, intentionally letting it slip that they were going out. Who's that? Izuku questioned while struggling to open his yogurt. The place we went to the other day, he's the one you stole the pie from, Aizawa reminded him as he reached for the boy's yogurt to open it. We get to see Sho again? Izuku was enthused as he gave the man the yogurt. Half and half, Bakugu questioned after. Shodo. Yeah, we are going to have so much fun. Let's make sure we play nice, okay? Aizawa told them, correcting Izuku on the boy's name. Sho was a nickname commonly used for shouted by those close to him. Fun, fun, we gonna play with Shodo, Midoriya cheered, shaking his fist up and down at the excitement. Aizawa handed Izuku the now open yogurt, but something seemed to upset the boy. Midoriya grasped the yogurt with 2 hands, and his smile dropped as he stared at the top. Aizawa followed his gaze to the yogurt, but saw nothing wrong. He first thought maybe the bits of banana might be the problem. But Izuku never showed signs of texture aversion. It not open, Izuku pouted and handed the yogurt back to Aizawa. The man was instantly puzzled. The yogurt was open. It is open, Aizawa told him, but Izuku shook his head no. Not open, the boy said again, his left hand tapping his collarbone in a quick rhythm as he started to hum in distress. You can see that it's open, Aizawa said, and moved the yogurt so the boy could see the top. No, you did not open right. Look, Izuku said, and pointed at the tiny piece of aluminum foil. It was no bigger than a centimeter. That part, it doesn't matter, you can eat the yogurt like that, Aizawa told him, but Izuku just whined at the statement. Not yet, see, it's shut, Midoriya complained as he pointed at the tiny piece of foil. There's no yogurt under the piece of foil, just the lip of the container, Aizawa explained. It's wrong, Izuku said, as he started to rock back and forth, his eyes staring at the piece of aluminum. Bakugu clicked his tongue from next to him, and for a second Aizawa thought the blonde might steal the yogurt. However, that didn't happen. Instead, the annoyed blonde tapped the table in front of Aizawa. Bowl now, Bakugu demanded as he tapped the table, asking the man to bring the item. You want me to put the yogurt in a bowl? Aizawa questioned the blonde, and Bakugu nodded. Yes, yogurt won't be wrong anymore. Izuku straightened back up from his rocking at the solution his friend provided. Aizawa sighed and pondered. The man didn't want to assume what kind of mentality the green one had, but this made it clear that he needed a diagnosis. The man allowed the counting compulsion only because it seemed like a calming stim, and he didn't know how to properly handle. But this seemed harmful and was a clear sign of neurological disorder, or maybe multiple. The man could either make a stand and try to help Midoriya get over this detail, or do as Katsuki recommended and let Izuku off the hook this time. If it was yesterday, maybe Aizawa would try to get Izuku to eat the yogurt in the container, but they were going to Fat Gum's house today, and that's already going to be a lot for the boys. He didn't need a meltdown right now, or the day might start off bad and ruin everything. Okay. But just so you know, that piece of aluminum is not going to control your whole life, Aizawa told Midoriya as he grabbed the container. It's gonna control my whole life, Midoriya half-copied, but redacted the important words that changed the meaning. This made Aizawa stop and make a difficult decision. This was really bad. Those were the words in the boy's head. This little piece of aluminum is controlling him. No, it's not. The aluminum is insignificant, Aizawa said, and put the yogurt back down in front of the boy. No bowl, Izuku's face dropped. No, eat it like that, nothing's wrong with it. It's wrong, Izuku stated, his voice agitated. It's open, you can put your spoon in it, and the aluminum is not touching the yogurt. Aizawa stated the facts. But that, Midoriya pointed at the foil again, tugging at his shirt with his free hand. It does not matter. Grab your spoon and take a bite, Aizawa encouraged, and the boy whined. But it wrong, Izuku said again, letting go of his shirt to grab onto Bakugu's instead, shaking the blonde to ask for help. The blonde looked at his friend and couldn't discredit Midoriya's wide, pleading eyes. Bowl now, Bakugu shouted the words this time, a sneer forming, furrowing his eyebrows and staring the man down. I know you're trying to help, sweetheart, but Izuku needs to eat from the container or his compulsions will get worse. Aizawa explained, but the blonde tilted his head, confused. Trust me, I'm trying to help Izuku, Aizawa said, knowing explaining what he meant was too complicated for the young Bakugu. At this the blonde huffed but sat back in thought. The blonde didn't know what the man meant, but he instinctively perceived the man was doing good. Eat the yogurt, Aizawa told Izuku, and put the kid's spoon in Izuku's hand. Kashin, help, Midoriya pleaded to Bakugu, yanking on the boy's shirt harder. The blonde looked into Izuku's eyes and shook his head, pointing at the yogurt for the boy to eat it. It's wrong, I said. Izuku raised his voice as he got overwhelmed. It's open, nothing's wrong with it, Aizawa repeated. Kashan, please, Izuku cried out, tears forming in his eyes, but again he was ignored. It's wrong, Izuku shouted, grabbing a hold of his curls to pull. Aizawa cringed at the force the boy was using on himself. Bakugu, sweetie, can you go grab Izuku's ball? I don't want him pulling his hair. Aizawa sent Bakugu off to retrieve the item, leaving Izuku and him alone for a second. Izuku, darling, what's bothering you about the foil? Aizawa asked, and the boy whined. It's there, it's wrong, Izuku told him. Why is it wrong? I don't know, Izuku pouted, and his fist relaxed in his curls as he tried to think of why it bothered him. Bakugu was quick to come back and hurriedly climbed the chair to hand his friend his squish toy. Izuku whined, refusing, but the blonde grabbed a hold of Izuku's hand and pulled it away roughly from his curls. Before Izuku can reach back to his hair, the blonde roughly shoved the squishy in his hand. Midoriya grasped it firmly, his eyes focusing in the mixing red and yellow slime inside. Don't pull your hair no more, okay? Aizawa told him, and the boy whined, squeezing the ball with all his strength. It's wrong, Izuku mumbled. It's not. Does it change the taste? Aizawa asked, and Izuku shook his head no. Is it in the yogurt? Aizawa asked, and Izuku shook his head no again. Then it's safe to eat, Aizawa reassured. Safe to eat, Izuku mumbled as he stared at the yogurt. You know why the foil is there? Aizawa asked, and the boy shook his head no. The foil is there to keep the yogurt fresh and clean, Aizawa said, and the boy's eyes lit up. Foil makes it fresh and clean, Izuku said. Can you say, thank you, foil, for keeping your yogurt fresh and clean? Aizawa asked, admittingly using Izuku's cleanliness against him. Thank you, foil, for keeping yogurt fresh and clean. Izuku giggled at the thought of thanking the inanimate object. Okay, now eat the yogurt, the man said, and Izuku's smile faltered. Izuku whined but picked his spoon back up, putting it in the yogurt. But the foil, Izuku pouted, his other hand squeezing the ball tightly. Don't think about the piece of foil on the yogurt. We don't care about it because it doesn't matter. We don't care about the yogurt, Izuku said, stirring the yogurt around. We care about the yogurt. No, we don't. We don't care about the foil. That foil kept the yogurt fresh and clean. The foil was good and did its job. Now it's just being there and wants to be left alone. So leave it alone and eat the yogurt. Think about the foil being good and ignoring it, Aizawa said, trying to put in good thoughts to override the bad ones in Midoriya's mind. Foil is good, leave it, Izuku repeated, and lifted the spoon from the yogurt and up to his mouth. Is it good? Aizawa asked to redirect his mind. Yeah, Izuku declared as he slurped up the yogurt from the spoon and biting the piece of banana separately afterwards. I think it's tasty, Aizawa continued. Yes, you do, Izuku agreed and ate another bite, his feet kicking under the table in delight. Good job on eating the yogurt, Aizawa praised and patted the boy on the head, smoothing out his hair from where they were pulled. Midoriya smiled and continued to eat his yogurt, happy about being seen as good. Bakugu, on the other hand, looked envious, looking at the boy eat his yogurt while his own was already gone. We are going to Taishiro's house right after we get dressed. Are you excited to see your friend? Aizawa asked, continuing to distract Izuku from the food with positive thoughts. Yeah, he very, very nice. He gives me a spoon, Izuku said, recalling their time together. What about you, Bakugu? Do you think Shoto is a good friend? Aizawa asked, and the blonde nodded, recalling the boy, giving him the pie. I want you to be very nice to him, okay? Someone was really mean to him, and he could use some friends. Aizawa told them, hoping they could practice some empathy for the boy. I'll be nice, Izuku told him, finishing his yogurt. You too okay, Bakugu, Aizawa told Katsuki, who nodded again. Nice, the blonde agreed to the terms. Izuku finished the yogurt in less than a minute, since it was just a small container, and happily pushed it away from himself, signaling that he was done. The boy looked up at Aizawa, holding eye contact just enough to get the man's attention, then looking at the empty yogurt cup with a smile. It was obvious he wanted more praise. Good job! Now let's go change so we can see our friends, Aizawa told him, and the boy hummed and nodded. This is the end of chapters 33. I'll see you in chapter 34. If you have suggestions, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to know when the next one is out. Have a good day, angels.